editors its federal government on proposed social media regulation. Border closure, Nigerians are suffering. Ohaneze urges federal government to reconsider policy. MCLtv unveils plans for Southeast Governors Security Agencies. Nigeria win under 18 FIBA 3x3 African Cup of Nations bronze in Kampala. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on MCL News. I'm Izzy for now the news and details. The Ministry of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola on Monday said that the ongoing road construction projects in the country are targeted at connecting East, West, North and South African countries by road. Speaking at the 70th session of the Trans-Sahara Road Lacing Committee in Abuja, Fashola informed member country ministers in charge of road infrastructure from Tunisia, Algeria, Mali, Chad and Niger of Nigeria's efforts towards the establishment of the Trans-Sahara route. The minister explained that a total of 9 highways at different stages of construction are meant to achieve African connectivity. He said that 3 of these highways will pass through the territory of Nigeria. Fashola listed Lagos to Dakar through Seme in the Benin Republic, Lagos to Mombasa through Yaoundé in Cameroon, and Lagos to Algiers, which is the subject of the meeting in Abuja, as the part the Nigerian government is playing to contribute to the connectivity between African countries. It disclosed that the Lagos to Algiers road covers 9,022 kilometers, 7,171 kilometers, 80% in asphalt, while 1,851 kilometers, 20% in earth road. Fashola says that the road serves 37 regions, 74 urban centers with 60 million inhabitants in 6 member countries of the Trans-Sahara Road Lacing Committee. The minister stated that 1,131 kilometers of the 9,022 kilometers passes through Lagos to Ibadan, Ilorin to Jeba, Kaduna to Kano to Kongalam, where Nigeria has the border with the Niger Republic. Explaining the importance of the connectivity, Fashola stated that the development of the Trans-Sahara route is to ensure integration, improvement of economic activities, and cooperation between member countries. He said the Trans-Sahara route and the recent signing of the African Continental Free Trade Area after treaty is a top priority in President Muhammadu Buhari's plan to integrate and expand Nigeria's economy. Fashola said Buhari had placed the funding of the reconstruction of the Lagos to Ibadan section and the Kaduna to Kano section under the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund (PIDF) to ensure that there is no funding gap in the execution of the projects. The Nigerian Guild of Editors has advised the federal government to drop the proposed regulation of social media. The move, it said, negates Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution, which guarantees freedom of expression, including the right to hold opinions and to receive and impart ideas and information without interference. The Standing Committee of the Guild also elected Mustafa Issa as acting president to fill the vacant position of Funke Ebemode, who has been appointed as Osun Commissioner for Information and Civic Orientation. These were the highlights of the communique of the Standing Committee of the Guild after a meeting last Friday in Lagos. The Guild kicked against the proposed regulation of the social media space, declaring it as an attempt to gag press freedom. Advising the federal government to seek ways to maximize social media to disseminate information on its activities and policies, it called for engagement of the founders and promoters of social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to creatively curtail extremisms of violence and hate speech. The proposed social media regulation, the Guild warned, will further worsen the nation's waiting in poor record of press freedom and freedom of speech, which stands at 120 out of 180 nations surveyed. It said, and I quote, "Such synergy and partnership in an information age is the best way to make the most of the advantages of social media, which far outweighs any perceived disadvantages." End of quote. The Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the Apex Igbo Sociocultural Organization, Ohaneze Ndiwo Chukwusibebu, has called on the federal government to reconsider its stand on border closure. He said the call has become necessary as the pains Nigerians are undergoing presently outweighs the gains of the closure. He noted that security agents are the beneficiaries of the policy, and like the Apapa gridlock, will make it fail. Ibebi, who spoke in a telephone interview with newsmen on Monday night, regretted that the exercise has been abused by customs senior officers and security agents. The Ohaneze spokesman also warned all stakeholders in Nigeria against the politicization of the next census exercise in Nigeria. The Mieti Alakatu Breeders Association of Nigeria, MACBAN, has promised to always cooperate with governors of the Southeast in order to ensure peaceful coexistence with their communities in the zone. Chairman of MACBAN in Southeast, Gidado Siddiqui, gave the assurance on Monday in his Eid al-Maulud message in Awka, Anambra State. The MACBAN chairman commended governors of Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo states, traditional rulers in the communities, and community leaders for their support to the association. Siddiqui also appealed to members and cattle breeders across the country to use the occasion to pray for continued peace, unity among their host communities. He said that the highest respect Muslims all over the world can give in remembrance of Prophet Muhammad is to follow his footsteps of non-violence, peaceful disposition, and remarkable virtues of patience and love for one another. He assured that they will continue to collaborate with security agencies in the 5 eastern states of Abia, Anambra, Enugu, Imo, and Ebonyi to guarantee the safety of lives and property. Anambra State Emergency Management Agency, SEMAR, has alerted the riverine communities of Obaru, Anambra East and West local government areas to move to holding camps. This is to avert flood disaster at the level of the River Niger. This is to avert more flood disaster as the level of the River Niger maintains an upward increase daily. The executive director of SEMA, Cipriana Agupugo, who stated this during an assessment tour of various communities in the councils affected by flood to ascertain the water levels, said that with rising level of water, more victims have been moved into holding centers. Agupugo, who was represented by executive assistants to the governor Obiano on SEMA Media, Emeka Obinwa, said that the flood victims in the holding camps are in need of food and other materials as they have exhausted the food items supplied by the state government some weeks ago. He said that most of the areas visited have been completely submerged as houses, farmlands, churches, and schools are already underwater. He assured the victims of government's readiness to work with relevant authorities to bring about the desired assistance to them. Chairman 2019 Flood Relief Committee, Obaru Local Government Area, Nnamdi Esimai, thanked the state government for making available relief materials that were distributed to victims through SEMA 2 weeks ago. He appealed for more relief materials, especially food items, as the people have been worried and hungry. The Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, has urged companies in the country to file in their annual returns as provided by the law or risk being delisted from its register. The head public affairs of CAC, Moses Adagosu, told newsmen in Abuja that the call has become necessary in view of the need to keep the Commission abreast of such companies that are still in operation or otherwise. While emphasizing that the Enforcement and Monitoring Department of the Commission will intensify efforts to ensure compliance, Adagusi, however, urged companies to embrace voluntary compliance. An annual return is said to be a mandatory requirement every enterprise or incorporated trustees must file by delivering to Corporate Affairs Commission a return in the prescribed form containing specific matters related to the organization in accordance with Companies and Allied Matters Act (CAMA). He further said that CAC will sustain efforts aimed at ensuring that the process of registering companies is devoid of hitches. Adagusu said that the upgrade of the Company Registration Portal (CRP) is to enhance the incorporation process. The Company Registration Portal is the software that drives the operations of the Commission. Still to come on MCL News, Causes and Management of Ulcer. Nigeria win on the 18th FIBA 3x3 African Cup of Nations bronze in Kampala. Details after the break. Do stay with us.
Do not deface Abia State with posters. Do not defecate on our streets. Do not litter Abia State.
My brothers, I say wetin man go do for this world where people no go talk. If you chop,
Do not urinate in public places.
you no chop, dem go talk. Wetin make we do for this world? I say make we dey do the things wey we carry for heart. Na so world want am. Abi no be so?
Keep Abia State clean. This message is brought to you by MCLtv.
You're welcome back. Peptic ulcers are open sores that develop on the inside lining of one's stomach and upper portion of one's intestine. MCL News spoke with a medical practitioner on the causes and management of ulcer. Estandukwe tells us more.
Stomach ulcers are a type of peptic ulcer disease that affects both the stomach and small intestines. Peptic ulcers are holes or breaks in the protective lining of the upper part of small intestines areas that come into contact with stomach ulcer. About 1 out of every 10 Nigerians suffer from the burning, abdominal pain of a peptic or gastric ulcer at some point in life. Until the mid-1980s, the conventional wisdom was that ulcers form as a result of stress. A genetic predisposition to excessive stomach acid secretion certainly plays a role in the development of ulcers. A relatively recent theory holds that a bacterial infection is the primary causes of peptic ulcer. A medical practitioner spoke on the causes of peptic ulcer.
H. pylori infection. This H. pylori infection is actually a kind of bacterial infection, gram-negative spirochete. Okay? Sometimes it's usually contagious through mother to child, or it can be contagious through fecal oral. So this organism is liable, can actually stay in the body from childhood up to adulthood. Okay. Then another possible cause is the NSAID abuse. There's a group of drugs. There's a group of drugs called the NSAIDs. Okay. Some of these drugs, some of them you can find it over the counter, you can find it in the chemist, you can find it in the markets. Okay, so let me just give an example. Something like diclofenac, ibuprofen. All these are group of drugs called the NSAID. Okay, when you abuse it, there is chances that you will develop ulcer, stomach ulcer. Okay, so another cause of this peptic ulcer disease is lifestyle. Some people, those that actually takes too much of alcohol, those that smokes a lot. Okay, those that take too much of chocolate, or maybe caffeinated drinks like Coke and all that. Okay, so there is still chances that one can actually develop peptic ulcer disease.
Lending his voice on the management of ulcer, the medical practitioner advised on the need for regular washing of hands with soap and water, as well as eating healthy foods.
Stabbing yourself actually will worsen your case if you have ulcer. Okay, and also alcohol on its own, and all those some things are actually mentioned. The alcohol, the smoking, and all that. Those one actually doesn't really cause ulcer per se, but it can actually worsen the symptoms of ulcer. Okay, it can actually worsen this. Well, the chief culprit here is actually the H. pylori infection and NSAID abuse. People should actually avoid over-the-counter medications, because somebody might just come and complain to the chemist man, hey, please, I have this chest pain, this and that. Especially the chemist man will not prescribe diclofenac or maybe prescribe ibuprofen to the patient, thereby worsening the patient's condition. Okay. And for elderly people, maybe for 60 years and above, imagine so you're not beyond those jobs, thinking that that's what is going to suppress. There are chances that the patient will not develop upper GI bleeding, because those people are actually the ones that are at risk of developing upper GI bleeding.
The medical practitioner also urged people to always go for medical checkup while maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Esther Ndukwe, MCL News.
And in sports, Nigerians contingent to the FIBA 3x3 African Cup of Nations in Uganda recorded a decent result while gaining vital exposure to the basketball tournament. In the under-18 girls category, Nigeria won bronze after edging out the Democratic Republic of the Congo in the third-place game by 86 points. The girls, who lost narrowly to Uganda in the semi-final, were determined not to leave the competition without an impression as they settled for bronze. Mali continued their dominance over the women's 3x3 in Africa with an incredible 17-4 win in the final over Uganda. In the under-18 boys, Uganda once again proved to be the undoing of Nigeria at the tournament, as the last lost to the hosts 12-17 points in the third-placed game. Despite the loss, Mustafa Ebaji, who shone brilliantly during the tournament, joined Burama Koulibaly, Mali, and Youssef Helmi, Egypt, in the team of the tournament. Individually, Oyebaji also took home the bronze in the shootout contest, while Alao Traore, Mali's men, who won gold at the shootout contest after defeating Clarice Osula, Kenya's women, in a tie-breaking playoff round. Mali defeated Egypt in a nail-biting final 14-13 points to win the tournament. The quartet of Godwin David, Lucky Subel, Agu Ibe, and Victor Koko lost out to Egypt 13-17 points in the quarterfinal stage. The women also lost out narrowly against bitter rivals Mali 14-15 points in the semi-finals. Meanwhile, the Tigers camp came alive on Sunday as players and coaches reported to their base in Maputo for the 2020 pre-Olympics qualifiers coming up in Mozambique between November 14th and 17th. The team, comprising of returnees Atosu Yupe, 2019 AfroBasket most valuable player Ezine Carlo, Promise Anomakara, Atonye Yigifa, Sarah Imoboi, and Evelyn Akato were received by the coaching crew led by Otis Hogley. Ilo Edefreka, who was called up by Otis to replace Elizabeth Balogun, who could not make the pre-qualifiers, has also reported to Maputo. Others who reported to camp include Jasmine Wajeyi, Adora Elonu, Aisha Balarabe, Ifi Ibekwe, Victoria Macaulay, and Palas Kunayi Apana, who may be making her debut for Nigeria if selected in the final 12-man roster. Nigeria is grouped alongside hosts Mozambique and DR Congo in Group A, while Senegal will compete against Angola and Mali in Group B. The team will have its first training session on Monday ahead the event starting on Thursday, 13th of November. Nigeria have emerged as favorites to host the first FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup in Africa, as stated in the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) Back in August, a FIFA inspection team led by Hera Kash Jogging inspected facilities across the West African nation in the proposed cities of Lagos, Benin City, Asaba, and Uyo. No FIFA Women's World Cup has been staged in Africa, and Nigeria's Football Authority (NFF) remains the only body from the continent keen to stage the event scheduled for July. Nigeria have previously hosted the Men's Under-20 World Cup in 1999 and the Under-17 version 10 years earlier. And to end the news, a look at our major stories. The Nigeria Guild of Editors has advised the federal government to drop the proposed regulation of social media. The Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the Apex Igbo Sociocultural Organization, Ohaneze Ndibo Chuks Ibebu, has called on the federal government to reconsider its stand on border closure. The Mieti Ala Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, MACBAN, has promised to always cooperate with governors of the Southeast in order to ensure peaceful coexistence with their communities in the zone. And in sports, Nigeria's contingent to the FIBA 3x3 African Cup of Nations in Uganda recorded a decent result while gaining vital exposure in the basketball tournament. In the under-18 girls category, Nigeria won bronze after edging out the Democratic Republic of the Congo in the third place game by 86 points. That was the news. Thanks for watching. Please do join us again by 8 a.m. for Good Morning Abia. I am Izini Wafo. So have a nice day.
MCL, the world in your home.
When my heart is overwhelmed, troubles feel like pavement, and I will hold on to your peace and rest in you. Situation standing tall, in the mountains very high, I will never lose my